Hi, okay, so Taboo Wednesday topic, accountability. It's a really, really important one. So, question is, why have we declared accountability as a Taboo Wednesday topic? Very, very simply, because accountability scares the hell out of a lot of people. Hell of a lot of people. And that's very expensive. And if you're not holding people to account, or if you're not holding yourself to account, meaning you are saying, I am going to make sure this actually happens, you're going to lose results. Simple as that. But nobody wants to admit that they don't want to be accountable. But if you don't admit it, or you don't acknowledge it, then you can't solve it. So that's why we've made it a Taboo Wednesday topic, because it's a very, very frustrating thing for people. First of all, some of our clients are senior executives, C-suite, CEOs, whatever, who are really puzzled by why other people don't hold themselves to account, but also we often don't want to take account ourselves. So let's start with the senior people. We're going to look at the whole problem as a whole. So highly driven people who do take extreme accountability simply don't understand why other people don't do the same. So it's really puzzling, really frustrating that it doesn't happen. And we're going to talk about why this happens in a moment. So they get very frustrated with their employees whom they feel are not taking enough responsibility. So in some ways you can almost take the word accountability, switch it around with the word responsibility. And most people don't like the word responsibility because from our past, being responsible usually meant trouble. So accountability, responsibility, senior people want, most of the time they want, not always. Sometimes people hold on too tight and they won't let other people take accountability when they want to. So that's another side of the problem. That's for another time though. They want people to take more accountability and more responsibility because it feels like they're the only one doing it. And why isn't anybody else standing up and saying, yeah, I'll take this? So why does this happen? Well, there are two things we need to look at to solve this big accountability issue. And the number one is the biggie, is the big one, and is reasonably obvious. But there's a second reason, which is also very big, but is a much more hidden problem. So we're going to go and look into that. So let's start with number one. So logically, we all know that accountability is an essential component to hit targets. And if you are not saying, I'm thinking about a client at the moment who's involved with a huge project, a business-changing project for this particular business. And they say nobody is owning it. Nobody wants to take ownership of it. And he said that's why it's falling apart. So if you haven't got somebody who's going to say, I'm going to make sure this gets over the line, then it's very easy for things not to happen. You can take it the other extreme. Think about when you've got something that needs to be done in your house. If nobody knows who's doing it, nobody has decided who's doing it, nobody said, I'm going to do it. How often do some really silly jobs just not get done because people didn't think it was their job and responsibility to do? So accountability is the essential component. Once you've worked out what you're doing and why you're doing it and how you're doing it, the absolute essential is to say, who's responsible for making sure this is going to happen? It's logical, it's sensible. But human beings are not logic driven. We like to think we are, but we're motivated by our values, which is what basically we think is important, and the emotions that come with those values. So we justify our emotional choices and what we think is important, our values, often by rational decision making, but that comes afterwards. So we're actually motivated, and this is a deep, deep topic, but we're motivated by what we think is important. And it's really important to understand what we think is important often has got nothing to do with logic. And that is why leadership and management and understanding people can be so tricky if you don't understand that what is a sensible thing often doesn't get done because it's not actually what is important to them. So what's important is your values. So why we all like to think we are goals and achievement driven, there is something else. It's exceptionally strong value and exceptionally strong motivator that comes before our thinking about our goals. And that is survival. Whether we like it or not, whether you're an ambitious person, whether you are someone who wants to be a high achiever, we all start in our thinking about the desire basically to stay alive. Now, this is millions and millions of years of how brain has developed, that it wants to stay alive. So staying alive is a very good first step to doing anything else. So that's just how the brain works, which in business translates to don't screw up, don't lose your job, don't lose your reputation, don't lose your business, don't look stupid or incompetent. So we don't literally think we're going to lose our lives in business. It could happen, but most of the time it's the consequences of losing your job or making a mistake or damaging your reputation, losing your business, and what that means to you, to your family, to all your dreams and aspirations. So what happens is, because we fear these consequences of failing, and 40% of people have a hyper exaggerated version of this fear of failing, fear of not being good enough, looking stupid, imposter syndrome, that what we do is we try to avoid anything that is dangerous. So this is why people hold back. Therefore, stepping up, taking accountability means we're putting ourselves at risks. So we don't want to step up and say, I'll take responsibility for this. This is why the people who do say, I will take responsibility for that, you know that they feel comfortable enough to do that, meaning it's not a big risk. They may not know how to do it, and they may be new to them, but they're still okay with working out how. Where a large amount of people will say, I prefer not to. Think about the things that you don't want to put your hand up and say, I'll take responsibility for. Now, sometimes that's a good thing because you're the wrong person. But what we're talking about is the excessive desire to avoid risk, which means the people should be taking accountability for that, should be taking responsibility, still don't. And this is the thing that costs businesses a huge amount of money, because if you're paying somebody to take that and you expect them to take that risk and have that accountability and they don't, well, who else is going to be? You may have somebody else you're training up and you're developing, and then eventually you can give them more responsibility and they get good enough to take it. But if you've got somebody who should be taking it and they're not, you have a massive hole. And this happens every level of business, right from the bottom right to the top. I've seen it in every situation. So as an example, this is why so many meetings are a waste of time, because when you're having this meeting about this important subject, look for these things, and you'll have seen them. Who tries to hide or not speak because they don't want to be singled out? They don't want to have anything, where they are putting their views across, because all of a sudden now they might be judged or they might take a risk, so they keep quiet. Who avoids taking accountability for the required tasks? I work with several clients who said to me, this person that I'm employing is slippery as anything. They never ever seem to be committing to anything, and they're holding back everybody. And that's because they're petrified of the consequences of actually committing themselves. Now, the interesting thing is sometimes people are so scared of taking accountability and being judged or being criticized or making a mistake. Their work is amazing because they're so scared of what could happen. They produce amazing work, but they just won't ever show anybody. And I've had several conversations with people around the world where that's the situation. So even if they are brilliant at what they do and they have got amazing results, sometimes they just don't want to take that accountability. And here's the other one, which is a clue to the second reason. Does the manager let the accountability slip? So you've had this meeting, you've had all these ideas, and you had the discussion, and you think, right, time for this meeting to end and get on with some, real productive action. But no one's taken any responsibility. But the manager doesn't make accountability happen. And I was in a meeting a couple of months ago, and someone came up afterwards and said, that's the first time we've ever actually decided who's going to take the steps and who's going to do it by when. And they said, it's the first time it's ever happened in a meeting I've been in. It's only because I drove it. And I said, who's doing what and when? Because the manager didn't want to. So this is where we're going into the second reason. And this is the more hidden one. Two things. Most managers don't know how to create what I call positive accountability. So for a lot of people, responsibility is painful and scary, and you're the waggy finger, you should be more responsible. that negative connotations, but how do they create the system of positive accountability? They don't know how to do it. They're not trained to do it. And also they find holding people to account very uncomfortably personally. One, because the system is perhaps not there to allow them to do it easily, but also they don't know how to deal with it when that person hasn't done what they said they meant to do. So basically you got a highly ineffective manager. And it's usually about skill set, and also do they find holding people accountable comfortable? So this is the second and hidden reason. So most managers never been shown how to create a system that creates positive and welcomed accountability, so the person can feel that they can succeed. So there's a lot of actions that need to be taken, but are not being nailed down. Who's doing this by when? And you think it's so logical, especially if you're a person who does take accountability well. Why isn't anybody else doing it? Well, because as human beings, we try to avoid risk. And if you're a manager that is trying to avoid risk of having to deal with someone who's not working well, or they just don't know how to do it, you've got loads and loads of tasks that are just flittering away and don't get done, or they drag on past their deadlines or when they should be done. And that damages results. So if you want better results, you need to focus on these two core areas. Pay attention to the people who try to avoid accountability. They are damaging results. And a lot of people are like that. And you wouldn't suspect some of them, because some of them can be very, very high up, but they won't take the next step. They won't do the thing that makes them uncomfortable. They will stay within their, I hate the phrase, comfort zone, where they feel safe. And they may be expert and produce brilliant results here, and you think this person's amazing. They can help me move to the next level, another phrase I hate, but they won't do that. They won't go anywhere further. When they could, they're smart, they have experience, they're talented, but they hold themselves back. And you think, why? So they stay stuck in their comfort zone, their zone of safety. And also make sure your managers know how to create positive accountability and feel comfortable doing that. That's a skills thing. It's making sure you got the right people doing it in the first place, but that's just pure management leadership skills. And that could be taught. That's easy. We do that all the time. So accountability is the thing that makes all the other work up until this point actually turn into a result, return on your investment of time, effort, energy, money, and all the things you've been doing. And people find accountability personally uncomfortable and tactically puzzling, and possibly uncomfortable what to do with a person who they don't know how to manage very well. So if you are that person who avoids accountability and you're hiding, let us know. If you are a senior person with a team and you think, why are my results disappearing? We should be achieving things and things are slipping and sliding and I don't know why. Then perhaps we need to talk about, are your managers holding people to account in the right way? So either way, if this has got you thinking, you just want to have a conversation, just book in a call. There'll be a link, but in a moment, book in a call. This is about the Alpha program and other programs we have that solve these issues. But accountability is one of those hidden things that if you don't deal with because it's uncomfortable or you just don't know how, it wastes a hell of a lot of time and money. Huge results. So hope this has been useful to you. Just pop us over an email if you want to get in touch, or book in a call directly using this link. There'll be other links you can use just to hit those up, wherever you're seeing this. So accountability is a Taboo Wednesday subject because most people are scared of it. And a lot of people don't know how to create positive accountability that people actually enjoy because they feel supported, actually. So they've been challenged, they've been helped to be successful, and they actually feel encouraged that they're supported. So guess what? They enjoy it. But most managers don't know how to do that. And it wastes a lot of money. So hopefully it's been useful to you. Hope I'll speak to you soon if you know you've got this problem. And let's get it solved. It's easier to solve than you think. It really is. Thanks for your time.